started mine.
Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids podcast. And today we have with us Miss Keisha. Keisha, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Keisha James. I am a mom, aspiring writer, entrepreneur, educator, all the things.
All the great things. Yes. Many, many hats, many, many hats. So, homeschool. You do
Yes,
that.
I do.
How did you get here? What got you like, you know what? We're gonna do this ourselves.
Wow. From a very early age, I actually attended preschool and fell in love because my preschool director at the time was a Black woman. So it was like it was something about that representation. So I just knew those were the two things I knew. I was going to be a mom and I was going to have my own child care center.
Oh,
So I went to school, got my degrees, and started trying to make the steps to having that child care center. And for some reason, it just wasn't happening. So I ended up getting married, and within 2 years, after a few miscarriages, we finally got pregnant. And at that point, I was like, okay, I kind of counted on having a school because I knew I wanted my child to at least be with me those first few years. I knew that for sure. So that kind of put me in a scramble. At the time, I was, are you still there?
yeah.
Okay, it like did something on my screen. But yes, so I had my son. At the time, I was a reading specialist in the school system, and but I had plans for him to go to a friend of ours, a close friend. I was working part time, so it wasn't. I was like, okay, I think I can. I'm going to be all right. And leading up to I think it's like the 6 week visit you have, and I was in tears on the way there, like because I
Oh.
was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna clear me to go back to work. And I get to the doctor and she was like, girl, no, you had a C-section. You got like 2 more weeks. I was
Oh.
like, okay. So I was thrilled. And while on maternity leave, I actually got a call to work at a research center at a college campus nearby. So I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. I can have him there with me. Just like little temporary fixes, essentially, to lead to the inevitable. So he was there with me for a few months. My husband ended up getting laid off. So then he had to keep him at home with him. And I was in administration, but I actually had stepped into the classroom and took over a classroom that a teacher had resigned from. And it was the same age as my son. And I just loved it. I think that was my best in classroom experience because I brought that like in the minute like passion from having a child that's the same age at home. But as much as I loved my babies, it wore on me that one, my husband got to be home with him at the age that I love. And two, that I was pouring all of me into my babies at school when I would come home tired to mine. And he wasn't benefiting from all these student loans that I done got in early childhood education. So um, once the school year was up, I was like, okay, I'm gonna back out. And we had also started to, within the marriage, have some issues, which inevitably led to our separation. So um, when I moved out, at that time, I was working for a state quality rating system for Virginia, and I had to put him in a program because when we split,
Oh.
I didn't have any other choice. And he was in tears every single day, like that. I
Oh.
dropped him off every single day. And I was still working part time, but I was making enough to, not have to work full time. So he wasn't there for long, thank goodness, but it was hard. And at this point, he was 3, or 2 turning 3. So he was there for 3 months, and then all of a sudden the pandemic happens, and I was like, oh, so then he got to be home with me, and I was working from home, and I was like, I really, really, I like this. Like, I love that I get to observe him and learn him, and not get to know the things that he's doing being relayed from a teacher. Because I understood that. I understood what it felt like, especially in that last classroom, what it felt like for some of those moms that they didn't want to go to work, they didn't want to leave their babies, but they had to. They were comforted in knowing that, I was the person that was with their kids. But, I was like, that kind of sucks when you gotta hear, oh, your child took their first steps from somebody else, and they're hitting
Right.
all
I
these
know. Oh
milestones.
my gosh. Yes.
So I really prided myself in the fact that I was able to learn him and observe him. And it was so different observing him versus in the classroom when you're observing multiple children at one time. Like you're getting to know them, but like I really felt like I know him. I got to observe his learning styles and just all the things. So, of course, there came a time when it was time to go back to work. I was able to kind of ping pong off of his dad where we still didn't have to put him in a program. Um, so, but within a few months, something shifted. I ended up going over. My father's from Antigua in the West Indies, so
Aw.
I kind of took a sabbatical just with the separation and post pandemic and all the things, and we went there for 3 months. And that's when I really, really confirmed that he was an experiential learner. Like he needed to experience things, and from an early age, he had been fortunate enough to travel some different places, both in and out of the country. But we were able to put things that he was learning from the books that we were reading or him watching Sesame Street to really being on, like he's big on transportation, being on a train, being on an airplane, being on a cruise ship, and driving in a car, just all the things. That's how he soaked up the information that we would be learning casually at home. So at that point, I just was like, you know what, this is what it's going to be. And this year was his official kindergarten year. So I really was like, okay, now I gotta, not that I wasn't on the ball when he was younger, but I was just like, I want to start to get a little bit more intentional, like more intentional with what I'm learning, but I still follow what he's interested in. Like I said, transportation is an ongoing thing, dinosaurs, and I use his interest to kind of navigate what we talk about, the things that we read to engage him the most. And it works. And we go out. I started a co op for him this year so he could have some friends to bond with and moms, because I'm a single mother. I just knew, I was like, oh my God, like, and I pretty much live in a state where there's no family here. I have my tribe, like his godparents and everything, but my immediate family are all spread out different places. So I was like, what can I do this year to help myself keep, sane and
Sanity. Yes.
also, right, and also to help him. So I was in bed one night and I woke up and God kind of put it on my heart, like, start a co-op, and literally just started running all the things down. So I'm researching on my phone, like just doing all the things. And I launched it in the fall of last year. We did it like our fall session, then we did a spring session. And the first session, we had a handful, but it was nice. It was a nice small amount, intimate, and we doubled in number this spring. And still, even with the parents that are there, it's just the chemistry of the children as much as the parents. It's just beautiful. It's divine. So
Oh,
I'm loving it. I'm loving it, and he's loving it too.
oh, that is so sweet. And that is so amazing that you decided to, hey, I'm gonna build my community. Like I know we need something, we need support, we need outside. So let me build it. That is
Yeah.
dope. Yes. Parents need to know that because a lot of people search for a community and they're like, oh, there's nothing here. It's like, well, you're not the only one looking, honey. Go ahead and build it and they gonna come. And
Yes.
so y'all have doubled in numbers.
Yes, we did. And like I said, it still flows so beautifully. Like the chemistry of the children, how we all have very similar stories or things that are going on with the children. We can kind of piggyback off of one another. The majority of them are also, entrepreneurs or they work from home. And the basis of it was because I'm not really sure how other co-ops operate. I kind of just like researched here and there, but with this one specifically, what I wanted to do was offer parents time to themselves. So it's
Mm.
like a 2 hour period, and we have our volunteers, like our parents who lead the session, and immediately following the session, we do an experiential trip or a field trip like later that week. But it gives during the co-op session, the parents who aren't leading the sessions, they can kind of go to the library, go take a walk, go grab a cup of coffee, sit in their car, like just to
I about to
have
say, just
that
sit down.
downtime.
Yes.
Right? Just have that downtime. That was very important. I knew for me, like I did it, with me in mind. Like, what do I need as a parent right now, and what kind of support do I need to be able to homeschool him in a way that it's effective? So I was like, I need breaks.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what I really wanted to share and extend to other parents.
That is awesome. So you have parents lead different like lessons, sessions, like whatever they're privy in. They had,
Yes,
is it all
yes.
ages for the co-op?
So when we started it in the fall, we did ages 5 to 7. My sweet spot from when I was teaching was infants, toddlers, and like preschool. So
Oh, you like
him
heaven
being,
sent, girl.
yeah,
You're an angel. You're a fallen angel that is just here to just be beautiful because
I say that about anyone who wants older children. I'm like, oh no, I'll take the baby. They don't talk.
not take the older ones. Mm-mm. And babies, they are needy. Oh my gosh, they're so needy. But go ahead. I
Oh
digress.
goodness. Yeah, no, but we started from ages 5 to 7 just to kind of see how it flowed. But then I noticed that there were a lot of parents that had either a little bit older or a little bit younger that were also interested. Because of the setting that we're in, I couldn't really do younger. So I was like, okay, well, we can extend it. So we're doing 5 to 10 this
Nice.
session, this spring season, with hopes of, growing it. Because even in the session we have now, we have like a mom that has two toddlers, which is my age. So I was like, oh, so she can only do so much because she still has the two younger ones. But um, it allows me to see what the needs are to kind of pivot and grow it. Yeah, and see where it goes. But they really
Nice.
love the component of being experiential, like we're learning something in a
Mm-hmm.
classroom-ish setting, but I set it up in stations. So whatever that parents like for this last month, our lead parent is an English major, so she was good. So she did phonics, and it's like each station, each table is set up with different activities, so they can just move around freely. We kind of talk them through the activities they're doing. If they're having any issues, they can come to us, but they're allowed to just engage with one another, versus like a rote style of learning. And we play games, and they have a lot of hands-on activities. And then following that, we go on a trip somewhere that's not costly because we want to not break pockets, but whatever kind of correlates with what we learned in that session. So that could be the library. In this case, we just went to like a playground, but we kind of talked about some of the signs that we saw, like the physical signs that we would read as we're like going into the playground and talking to them as they're playing. So they really enjoy that part of it, that it follows up with a hands-on experiential experience for them.
Nice. How often do you meet?
We meet once a month, which parents are like, oh
Okay.
my gosh, can we meet more? I
Oh
just
yeah,
know
y'all
what
need
time
more
is
than that. I know.
right?
Y'all need more than that.
Right now, we meet the second Wednesday of the month, and then we follow it up with a trip like that week or the following week with hopes of expanding it. But starting out, because I knew it was resting solely on me, I didn't want to overextend myself. So I was like, okay, let's test this out, see how it goes. And it's been going great. So we definitely want to, as long as I have, the tribe are able to commit the time, we can definitely open it up to more times in the
Of
month.
course, of course. No, I love that. I love that. Because you know your limits. That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna build this, but I'm not gonna overexert myself because I still, know me. So that is good.
learning. I'm
Yes,
learning.
of
Trying.
course. So what does your day look like with your son? What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah. Yes. So I follow him. So he is a early riser. Mommy isn't so much. But I'm kind of. I can't even say I'm not an early riser, but I'm not a night owl anymore like I used to be either. So I don't know what I am. But he rises up with the sun. I noticed that with him first thing in the morning, he's really engaged in like self play. So he'll like whip out whatever his train said, and I just let him kind of go at it while I'm doing my routine because I try to be one of those moms that wake up before him. It just doesn't work for me.
Not if you're getting up with the sun, like
Right, exactly. And if I wake up any earlier, he'll wake up earlier because he is that in tune. He's like, mommy's up, and then he'll be up too. So it doesn't work for me. So while he's engaged in his self play, that's when I'll do my stretching and my meditating, my journaling, getting myself prepared for the day mentally, physically, and spiritually. And we will go walk our dog. So I'll let him get his PE out. He'll either be running around, he'll ride his bike, do winter or not. He literally in this cold weather. So I heard, Mom, can I go around one more time? I'm like, sir, it's cold. And he's like, but you have your coat on. I mean, yes, but that's why, because it's cold. He just doesn't care. He loves
I'm
being
not
outdoors.
understanding.
Right. I need to be in whatever seasons in your head going on. I need to be there. I feel cold.
Yeah.
But we'll come in and we'll do prep our like breakfast, and then about between 11 and 12, I'll have like music playing so he kind of can get that large motor, just that physical movement going, get his energy flowing to get him ready for like our quote unquote learning time. Um, and I typically do this with him Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Fridays is flexible. I'll either be flexible Monday or Friday because Monday's like the start of the week and Friday's like the end. And we'll either go out and do something. So I still kind of do the same thing that I base the co-op off with him. But after his music and movement time is when we'll sit down and I'll alternate doing literacy or math with him on that day. And we do it for, I usually have like an hour window when we do a number of things within that window, including like he can jump on one of his educational apps and like ABC Mouse, or he likes Duo ABC. They have like a Duolingo where they can teach you second languages, which I ultimately want to use, but he likes that as well. So we use that. And then the rest of the day is his because I know he's learning through play. He's still young, he's 6. So I don't want to be over, and I also don't want him to, being a boy, especially, not to say that girls aren't struggling with this, because in talking to moms, girls are going through it too, but we don't want to, it's especially in a traditional school setting. I keep explaining to him because sometimes they're like, oh, Mom, I'm like, sir, if you were at school, you'd be doing this from the time you get there until
you'll be sitting down,
the time you get out. Right. So I'm like, it's just a little bit of learning time. Yeah. But just from, I'm very intentional with him in wanting learning to be fun, because speaking to men in my family, men not in my family, men here in the States, men not in the States, because like I said, my father's from Antigua, they all struggled in school. I have a sibling that was retained in kindergarten. I'm like, I didn't even know you could get retained in kindergarten, but
yes,
they really, really struggle in that school setting. And I even feel in my heart that if he were in that setting, he would be struggling too, like, because he likes to move around. He's active, he's busy, he's very much on the go. So that sitting, and it wouldn't have worked for him. But again, in knowing him, I was like, I'm not going to set him up for failure. Like, if it's something he wants to do down the line, we can definitely discuss it. But he loves it. And then I have, like I said, keeping in mind that self-care, because the first, I want to say like not last year, but the year before, I was trying to do all the things, work from home, because I also, in addition to my businesses, I teach online for adult learners who are going for their CDA in early childhood education. I didn't want to burn myself out. So there was a beautiful program here that was very much grounded in holistic lifestyle. And I said, okay, great. They have a homeschool extension program, and I have a minute for 2 days out of the week just to give myself that that time, again, being a single parent. So I'm trying to utilize the tools and the supports. And they complement him and complement the things that I'm trying to instill with him at home as well. So that's one program that I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable with you being there. I don't leave him there for long because I don't like, for children to be in those settings for like a very, very long amount of time. So he's typically there and even at 4 or 5 hours. But even then, he's like, Mom, you took too long to come pick me up. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, you get to play outside. You have like the whole mud
I want to be free,
station and
honey. I need
everything.
free.
He's a true mama's boy. Like, he is all about his mom already doing the things that teenage boys I would expect to do. Mom, who are you talking to? What are they saying? Sir, can I can I live? You're supposed to do that when you're taller than me, not right now.
Right.
Oh, but that's my heart for sure.
Oh, but y'all have such a great system. It sounds like y'all have what works for you. And I love you
Yes.
keep re-emphasizing that you don't want to get burnt out. You re-emphasizing self-care. Because a lot of single mothers think that this isn't something that is for them or that's like plausible or even possible for them to do. So you are a living testament of, no, girl, you could do it. Because you said businesses, that's plural. Well, that ain't
Yeah.
one, that's more. Talk about them. Talk about them. What you do?
Yes. So, right around the time before his father and I separated, I was sitting there in transition from teaching to working for the quality state rating program. I was like, gosh, I'm sitting there like, Kayla, what can I do to like be home with you and
Oh,
also like get paid? Like, what I don't like, I need some help. And I'm just sitting there, and I had taken like I said, at that time, even I knew he was an experiential learner. It's like, wonder how we could, make this into something. So his godmother and I had already been meeting of the minds, trying to figure out some things we could do to serve the youth in our community. Because she's in curriculum and design. Um, and we had played around with some different ideas, and then we had another party, another associate of ours that we all worked together at the YMCA, and he wanted to have a brick and mortar serving the youth. So we all came together and was like, okay, what can we do? And bringing together each of our strengths, hers being in curriculum design, mine being in child development, his being in youth programming and development, and he also has a background in ABA. We came up with curriculum agents. And basically, the consensus of that is where we are for those parents who don't feel like they are capable of coming up with these activities. We basically give them the confidence to say, yes, you can. Here are some resources. If you really want us to come up with the activities to do with them, or like the plans to do with them, we again take what the child is interested in and create learning activities that are custom made and strengthen the parent child relationship, but it has a core focus of social emotional learning and wellness, because the one who does ABA is also, he is marketing as his background as well as physical wellness. So we really just put in there all of our strengths and made it into something that we could offer to parents, the ones who are like, I don't have the energy to come up with these things, but it's really a way for us to share resources with them, to give them like that foundation or blueprint of like, here, we can set it up for you. If you want to keep paying us to do it, all right, fine. But you can pretty much just take the blueprint of what we're doing and then make it your own, and then continue to learn with your child. And that's what I'm really big on as a homeschool mom, because I know even with me having the background that I had, my confidence was like, oh my gosh, am I doing the best that I can do for him? Like, is he learning everything that he should be learning? And this is coming from somebody that was in a classroom. But it's like, this one mine. And because I don't have anyone to compare him with too, I was like, I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right. But that stood out to me, that even if I could question, my ability to do it, imagine a parent who might not be doesn't have a background in education. Their background's in whatever, but using still those strengths from whatever their field is in, and then doing what they can, getting support where they can from, the community, the homeschool community that is near them or virtually near them. But saying that you don't know everything, and that's okay. Like accepting that you don't know everything. And I take pride in that I'm learning alongside my child. Like, because
Yes.
there's things that I don't know. And I'm really big on with him. I want our core focus to be in his primary years. Who am I? To be that is the focus. And literally break down each year, who am I, and get more and more in depth with it.
I love
Because
that.
interestingly enough, I had listened to a podcast that was talking about religion and spirituality, and spirituality is more about, learning about self, where religion is about, the whole, the community. And it's interesting because I feel like from a young age, we're often fed religion. And then as we get older, we kind of lean on spirituality, at least in our generations and generations past. I don't know about the
No,
children
that's
here.
you hitting it though, because that's what it is. And then we spend our upper adult years learning ourselves because we hadn't,
Right,
we haven't. So
right.
go ahead, you go ahead.
But yes, I feel as though if we flip it, if in
Mhm.
our, because in their younger years, they know who they are. We try to
Until
talk them
we
about who they are.
don't we? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
But they know who they are. I believe they are the closest to God, source, most
I
high,
say
whatever
the
people call it.
same thing. Yes,
They
yes.
know who they are. So if we help support them when they're younger to really tap into who they are, they're, both spiritually, physically, like breaking down family trees and their names. Like I want to do that with him because, like I said, especially with him, me raising a man coming into this world, I want you to know who you are. I want you to be in
Yes.
tune with your emotions, to be able to explain how you feel, not act out of emotion. I'm very intentional with all those things. So, and then as you get older, if you find a religion that speaks to you, then go for it. But at least you'll know who you are. It's not
Yes.
the other way where you're learning about something outside of yourself and then come down the line, oh, but wait, so who am I? Like, you're going to learn about
Girl.
who you are, and then you'll be able to sort yourself better with
Yes,
the things that are
ma'am.
outside of you.
Yes,
So,
ma'am. No, I love that. You hit that one on the nose, honey, because that's what I feel is lost in school, in the school system, is our identity. It's like
yeah,
we're told all these other things and taught from a too early of an age that we're a minority or we're less than or we're just this, or just slaves. Like all these Black kids just identifying as slaves is like wild. Um, we don't know ourselves. And it takes us getting into a certain like pivotal age. It's like, you know what? I need to I need to learn more about my roots. Where did I come from? Where does my history go back to? Where is my Lena's my legacy? Like what is all of that?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. And that's why, and I'm at that place right now in my life. And I'll be 38 tomorrow, literally,
Oh, happy
the 27th.
birthday. Oh, yes.
Yeah. But literally, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't want him to have to wait that long to figure it out because I could have avoided so much or learned differently through instead of having such hard lessons. Not to say that you're not going to experience hard lessons regardless, but had I known myself in an earlier, I wouldn't have probably, you know, had to learn as hard as it as I did.
Right.
Like I said, he knows himself even now. He has boundaries even now, and it's like Mama had to just. I'm just coming up on this like within the last few years.
You
So
and me both, honey. You and me both. I'm a late bloomer too, honey. That's why so it's important to break it though. We breaking the
yes,
cycle.
yes,
So
and he gets to see it live and in action with his mom. So
yes.
I love that. And then my other business is CT Patchworks, and that. So I during the pandemic when we were home, I saw that the field of education was struggling. I mean, we were struggling before the pandemic, but they were
You
really,
better
really
tell it, because
struggling.
that's what I be telling people. Look at here, that gap was there. Okay.
Right.
It was not a pandemic gap. That was a gap. Okay. It's
Yes,
been there.
yes.
Yes.
It just shined a light on it. So I said, what can I do to support, the people that are still out here in the classrooms? So CC Patchworks essentially is where I was providing virtual assisting to companies who were serving children and families. And then I noticed that more people were coming for support that weren't just in that field. So I was like, oh, or like, just serving children and families. But I had people coming to me that wanted to start a business and didn't know where to start. So I was like, okay. I kind of shifted it over the years to a systems and processes consultant, to where regardless of the field that you're in, now I will say my strength is in customer service and education. But because I've started businesses, I'm like, okay, I have experience with that as well. So if I don't know the answers, I can definitely, a former coworker of mine calls me the resource girl. She's like, you just be knowing all the events and everything. So I'm like, it just pops up. I think because that's what I'm used to, finding on my timeline. They just come to me now. But I'm very resourceful. So if I don't know the answers, I will find them, and I help people to set up systems within their business, to launch their business. I'm very good in administration. So if it's, things that they need, a database set up, documents created, things like that. That is how I really seek to support seasoned and new entrepreneurs. My heart is with our Black and Brown community and supporting, if you're a homeschool parent, even better, because then, I can truly relate. But anyone, honestly, who just really needs that, that accountability partner. I have one client where I'm like, yes, I'll be your accountability partner. Like, these are the goals that she wants set for her business. And, whatever season she needs me in, she'll reach out. I'll help her with the events that she's doing, because she has a babysitting company for weddings and events and networking events. So she basically provides childcare worker or childcare givers to. She dispatches them to wherever the wedding is taking place and provides
That is
childcare on
a
site.
great idea.
Yes,
I
yes,
love that.
she is
People are
doing
so
it.
people are
She
so
is based
amazing.
out of
Yes.
Texas, and she's doing it. So, and because we met on a networking call, and she saw the name, and she's like, "Oh, I think that's something childcare related." She's like, "I don't usually see us on these network calls," and we connected, and I've been working with her for, oh my God, it's been like 3 years now, 3 years. And done all the things, supported her with events coming up, helped her, hire people to be on her roster, set up systems for her, all the things. So yeah, and like I said, I've helped others who are just starting out, and they like, these are my ideas. This is what I want to do. Where should I start? And we just go from there.
I love the name of that then, the Patchwork, CC Patchwork.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what you need us to do. We gonna patch it together. We gonna put all these pieces together. I like that.
Yeah, see, and
Yeah.
I loved it because when I was thinking of the name, because originally the CC stood for childcare, and I was like, but I didn't want to limit myself to childcare, and I love that CC, because that can also be tied to virtual assisting, like that's the copy, the person on the email. Patchworks, again, like weaving together or coming together to create this beautiful, piece of art or work. And that stood out to me too. My mother, she passed in 2018, right before my son turned 1. And my middle name is Patrice, but she would call me Princess or Patch. So I was like, oh, that's a great way for me to like kind of keep my mom in there as well. So I'm very intentional with things. I try not to just do, there's typically like a reason behind it, or like some in-depth thought behind it.
Nice. So just those two?
Yes, just those two for right now.
Okay. I mean, I know. Like, girl, what else you want me to do? No, just yeah.
Yes, just
We got the two businesses and we have the co-op. Yes.
yes.
And we
Oh
have the
wow.
homeschool life.
Yes, and I
And
track.
you making it all work.
Yes, and with the homeschool life, I kind of document that through my persona, which is teacher mom. So, and I have a teacher mom page on Facebook, but I lean more to Instagram. But that's kind of just where I document and show parents on a monthly, at least basis. I'll create like a rewind video that shows all the things that we've done. So, taking part in community things like we have science programs or homeschool stems that are done at like the libraries. I'm like, boom, there you go, there's science. I pretty much try to show how we don't have to put such a like we don't have to uh, make it so hard. Like really just follow your child's lead when it comes to what they're into, what they enjoy learning, and it'll just happen naturally. So it shows parents like these are the things. This is how he's learning, and you don't really see him with like worksheets or books to an extent. He's doing, he's experiencing, he's out and about, and he's just enjoying life. And I want him to do that as for as long as he can because life is going to get hard, down the line. He's getting the foundational skills that he needs, but it really shows off how important that experience piece is. So that's where I keep my little diary of our time spent together.
Nice. And parents need to see that because, like you said, I think a lot of people get to overthinking and then they got to get out of that school system mindset as far as how they learned or their parents learned.
Yeah.
Because it's once again another cycle that we're breaking. But deschooling is important. Taking that time to like really sit down and say, hey, okay, I took them out of school because I knew that wasn't working. So
Right.
I need to create something that I feel will work for us, or I know will work for my family as a whole. And taking the time to observe your child, relearn your child, especially if you're transitioning from public school, because a lot of time we lose connection. We lose, the time that's not spent with them anymore. It's 7.5 hours out the day, 8.5, you count commute and all that good stuff. It's a lot of time taken away from like you spoke on it early on when you were talking about feeding into the babies, like you love your baby, your students, but you realize how tired you were when you got home, so you couldn't even give them much. Well, give your son much when you got home. And a lot of parents experience that, their child goes off to school and then they go off to work. And then by the time they reconnect at home, ain't no like connection, ain't no talking about nothing. It's, hey, let me feed you, go take a shower, and let's do this again tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so I love that you're saying, like, no, like, just sit and understand it don't have to be that complicated. Even what you putting out there that, hey, we spent an hour doing like, intentional work, basically, intentional efforts of, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to work on this today, this skill. It doesn't have to be all day. And I think that's where a lot of parents get lost at too, is the whole, okay, well, they went to school for 7 hours, so I'm supposed to do school at home for 7 hours. Girl, don't do that. All the time, please don't do that. Please don't sit your child down for 7 hours. Do not do that. I don't know what in the world. Like, don't do
Say, send
that.
me back to school. Just send me back.
Right. You know what? You know what? Because they know at school you're not learning for no 7 hours out the day. You're like, people have actually started to break down what is actually going on in the school, whereas 15 minutes taking roll, another 15 minutes getting the class back in order, another 15 minutes doing this. And I share with people, by my last year of teaching, they used to tell us, like, stop talking to the kids so much. We needed to come down on our lessons as far as time spent actually doing instructional lessons. It was like, okay, y'all need to not talk to them for about more than 15 minutes. Like, get your spill out and then send them on their way to do whatever independent work they need to do, model and keep it moving. But they're not asking, teachers to do. And now you talk to a lot of parents now with kids in the school system, they're talking about, well, the teacher's not even really doing anything anymore. They're more just there. The kids are on the computer all day. Now, a lot of school systems are set up that way where the child comes in and they go on it straight to the laptop, and their instructional day is spent on the laptop. So,
see, and that is another aspect of curriculum agents that we are really big on, because we know the way the world is presently, everyone, even the ones that want to homeschool for different reasons, may not be able to. So we are also big on supplemental education. It's like, because one of the things that the pandemic really also highlighted was that parents really didn't know what to do with their kids, having them with them. They were like, I don't know what you're supposed to be doing right now, what you would have been doing. So we really have a core focus on wanting to also to serve all children and families, not just the homeschool community.
yes.
So in providing that supplemental education or supplemental activity, so they too can kind of see where their child is at and get to know them a little more through the activities that they're doing together during those downtimes, or a car ride, because it could be something that they're just talking about in the car that is suggested, things of that nature. So
yeah, it's very important. That relationship with your child is very important. And we talk on the homeschool, with that Homeschool Your Kids organization, we focus on making sure that you homeschool your kids regardless of where they at. Like your child, like you said, the supplementing. My biggest thing is, you talk to people all day, you talk to adults all the time, and they be like, oh, the school system ain't nothing. Well, I ain't learned nothing in school. Da, 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 da. But then they go and send their child to school and just rely on the school to teach them what they know they're not going to teach them. Like, that you went through that school system, them worksheets ain't changed, them things look the same. So it's like, that, but why don't you supplement? Why aren't you supplementing? And so that's like, we push, like, hey, no, homeschooling is what everybody needs to be doing, whether your child is in public, private, micro, anything. You have to be the leader of your child's education. This is a family thing. It's not an individual thing, as far as, just send them off and hope they survive. hope they be prepared, like a bunch of hoping going. No, prepare your child, because you know what you graduated with. And speaking from a former 12th grade English teacher.
Bless you, child. Bless.
Honey, to see what these kids get to at the end of the road, that's the foundation for homeschool your kids. It's like, oh no, I wish you would trust the school system to do everything you needed. No, some of my students' parents should have been suing the school system, okay, because of the waste of time, like the time that was wasted. And you talked about being a reading specialist. I could just imagine what you saw.
Yes, I had kindergarten through third grade, and I would meet with them for a half hour every day in groups of like 5. They try to keep it small, but it was because they weren't on their grade reading level. So it was kind of like an intervention program where we were trying to get them up to their reading level or above by the end of the school year. And it's sad. It truly is sad.
No, because those same kids make it through middle school, they make it through high school, and then they make it all the way to 12. I had 12th graders not being able to read. I had 12th graders not being able to write and complete sentences, but had whole jobs. Like, they were out here in the world already. But were they prepared? Did they get what they came for?
No.
And girl, my reading specialist, my first year teaching in the class, I used to go cry to her all the time because I just did not know what to do. Like, I was so like, yo, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I had 7th graders reading on kindergarten grade level. What am I supposed to do with them? How do I fix that? Like, how do you can't really.
Yeah. And we need, I think, where we sometimes can get lost as parents, and just like you were saying earlier, we need to know them, but we're so, and we should know and remember, what we experienced while we were in school to know the things that we were lacking. But it's interesting because of the dynamic we are living in and the world that we live
Yes.
in. We're so much more focused on the physical things that we lacked when we were younger and providing them with that
Yeah. Oh
versus
my. Oh, girl, you better
the
speak.
skills and the um, just the internal knowledge, the things that it's like, okay, let me prepare you for what you're about to experience.
Yes.
Not so much like, oh, I never got to have those sneakers. And most of the time the child doesn't even want those things. Like there
Mm-hmm.
are parents that are like that, where they're
No.
going above and beyond to overcompensate because they may feel bad that they don't have the time to truly, or feel like they don't have the time to truly invest in and do things. And it doesn't take much. It's literally that check in. I'm really big on, because, like I said, between the businesses and working from home and homeschooling, I still, at every night, like, I'll lay with him, we'll read a book, I'll ask, how was your day? What was your favorite part of the day? What's your favorite color? Like, just so he knows, like, mommy's, I'm tapping in. And we do our best as parents. One of the things that, just from a stance of the who am I that I was referring to, as far as like what our focus is, we, at the end of the day, I could do all the things and he could still pinpoint on one thing, like, oh, but this affected me this way, or this wasn't how I wanted you to do this, but you didn't do that. We can kind of help to lessen that experience for our children by being intentional and just having those little intentional moments. If they're young, during bath time, if it's at night, at bedtime, have them read to you if they know how to read. If they don't, read to them. During the car rides, like I was saying, on the way to, we're usually so worried about, okay, when I get to work, I have to do this, that, most of the times. And then when they get older, we wonder why they don't talk to us. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's because we weren't really talking to them. And I had to learn that too, just being an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
When he was really young, I just didn't talk. I had, like, his snacks already out. He didn't have to ask me for anything, and we just flowed through our day. And it wasn't until a
Oh.
certain point where I participated in a program, called Lena Start, where they put, like, a vest on, they record how many words they're saying and all that. And I was like, oh my gosh, Keisha, like, you need to start talking more, girl. You so used to just, so it's little things like that. Where I was like, okay, I need to talk more. And once I started talking to him, he picked it right up and was talking, and I can't get him to
Yes.
stop talking.
Girl, that's how it happens. That's how it happens. It's like that. This is what I wanted, huh? This is what I wanted. Yeah.
See, I did. I did. I was fine, because even with his dad, at like 9 months, he's trying to get him to watch. We don't need him to watch it. What are you doing? Let him take his time.
Play. Play.
But yes, like, if we just really, uh take those little bits of time. It's like, even first thing in the morning, he's like, so mom, what did you dream about? And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh,
I'm like, okay, because I'll ask him, like, so what did you dream about last night? And he'll tell me all the things he dreamt about. So that way it makes it not as hard when you have to either separate from them or pause interacting with them to go do some work or have a meeting. They're like, okay, I got a part of her this morning,
yes.
so I'm good. And he'll just go do his thing while I have my call.
Yeah.
So,
And it goes such a long way. That's all they want is a little attention. That's
yeah,
like you said, you give them that little attention, feed that bubble real quick, and then hey, you good for at least a good hour or two before you gotta refill it again. Well, what you
right.
doing? Oh, okay. What's that you drawing? Oh, that's cute. Da, 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 da. I'm like, oh, I die. Oh, nice. All right, now go ahead. And you
Exactly.
have just one. At least I have two, and they're so funny. What they be like, I don't know what I would do without you. I'd probably just be sitting here rotting. Like, wait, first of all, don't do that. Like, don't act like I'm not fun. Okay, don't do that. Okay. But no, I appreciate them having each other because a lot of parents who speak on the one child aspect. And I thought that was for me at one point, and I was like, "Oh no," because that first one, she a talker girl. I don't know what I would have did without her. I think her sister too. Like she talk. Oh, I'm so happy to have your sister too, because we wouldn't have made it.
Oh goodness. Well, see, when I married his dad, he already had a son.
No.
So we had raised him together like about 6 years before. And then by the time he was 10, that's when we had Caleb. And I was like, you're
Okay.
crazy. You starting all the way over. You got one that's almost out the door. So they're 10 years apart. But because that age gap, it's like, and I said that too. I was like, if I were to have another child, I want it to be as close as I can. Like now, because somebody asked, like, "Oh, would you have?" Like, I don't know. I'm almost. I know I'm not almost out the door, but I'm closer to being out the door than to start over again.
Go
Almost got my
nowhere. He
feelings
is
back. I
not
don't
going
know. I
anywhere.
know that's what everybody tells me. And like, he ain't gonna go nowhere.
No, you just, and then you gonna have space for him too, girl. What? No, ain't no other
Oh,
sibling. He ain't running from nothing. He got it good there. The world. Oh,
oh my
no,
goodness.
that's a. I still want more. Like I still, like I said, I sent my friend a video the other day of his mom. I think she was like 52, talking about she had a toddler. I said, "Look at me." Look at me.
See, and that's why I was like, maybe I just need to be like not in a classroom, but like do something in a system where I can have access to other people because then I can give them back. And I think that'll help my face because
Mhm.
I do. I love, like I said, I really love that young, the first like few years. And I feel like with his, it blew by. Like before I knew it, it was his first birthday, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like what? I don't even remember his first year. Like I would look at pictures, but I feel like I was so worried about what was to come that I couldn't
Everything,
even
yes.
be. Yeah, so that would be the one thing if I did meet someone. I keep saying hopefully I meet someone and they already got kids. That way, we like, all right, great, he got siblings now. Nice blended family. But I'm open to it if
Yeah.
that, yeah. But I'm like, yeah, if not, I'll just wait for the grandbabies or go in somebody's classroom and be the visiting parent.
Right.
just to like, okay, I got one baby. All right, great. Now I'm gonna go home.
Thank you. Thank you for my fix. Thank you. I appreciate that. Same time tomorrow? Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, the time does go so quickly. It's wild to see them grow, but to be able to be present for that time and not just, like look up and be like, oh shucks, but to
Yeah.
actually like see the growth. I love it. I abandoned my kids right now, but yeah, I left them. Um we went to my parents' house. I dropped them off at my parents' house, and I didn't know that they had marked on the wall from the last time we were there how tall they were. And so that's the first thing they did. They ran in the house and went to the wall and to see how much they had grown. And they're grown like like some inches, and it's like because you don't really see it up close and personal because you're with them every day. But to like my youngest, my 7-year-old don't look like she growing because my 10-year-old has sprouted. Like she's tall. So the 7-year-old look like she's just maintaining the same height. Like you just and like, yo, when you gonna grow? But she is like, to see the physical representation, like, oh shucks, you are growing, huh? But it happens fast. And that's why I always tell new parents, like, enjoy, just
Yeah.
enjoy,
Yeah.
because before you know it, girl, they double digits, asking you about tattoos, like to grow, like crazy stuff like that. And you're like, yo, how did we get here? Like you were just in my
Right.
hell, don't do that.
That's why I'm happy to be in the space right now. There's no
Yes,
place I'd
ma'am.
rather be because I'm like, this is gonna come and go. So I'll have, time if I want to be back out in the field working. I don't see it because I've just always been entrepreneurial spirited. Because like I said, always wanted to open a school. So
Yes.
I'll be able to invest time into those things. Like him being the age that he is right now is it's not going to be forever. So I'm like,
Yes.
if I got to sacrifice, some dollars or whatever, I'm gonna figure out how to do it on my own. But I'm gonna make sure that I can be with him and um, experience this journey we call life alongside him for as long as I can. So
Yes, I love that, Keisha. I love that so much. Thank you so much for all that you have shared. Where can we find CC Patchwork and
you
co-curriculum agents? Where can we find you, girl?
yes, so on LinkedIn, you can find Keisha James. You can find curriculum agents on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram, and it's at curriculum agent. So without the S on the social
Okay.
media platforms. And then we're also at www.curriculumagent.com. And TC Patchworks is on Instagram. It's also highlighted on my personal LinkedIn. It doesn't have its own LinkedIn page. And then you can also follow me and Caleb on Instagram at Teacher Mom. And curriculum agents, I'm
Yes.
sorry, not curriculum agents, but TC Patchworks is also at www.ccpatchworks.com.
No worries. We'll have all the links available in the description, but I always is like, some people like to hear it. So I always have you share. Before I let you go, give me 3 things you would tell new homeschool moms or even some single homeschool moms. Speaking from that aspect, because I feel like they, be needing a lot of a push to
Yeah,
to believe in themselves first and foremost. But 3 things you would tell them as they enter into this world.
I would say definitely to give yourself grace. Um, and in grace, give yourself time to feel it out. Like literally, I think the biggest thing I took away from being an educator was the ability to observe, the strength of observation. So literally just observe, just watch them as they're doing their leisurely things, and that'll tell you what it is they're interested in learning more about, or even the questions that they ask. Because trust and believe, I'm sure they're asking questions, and dive into those things. So give yourself grace when you first start out, and just observe them in their natural habitat. And then the um, third thing I would say is definitely take care of self, whether that be through your support systems. And it doesn't have to be, because you do need a village, you do need people to help you. So if it's not immediate family, if it's a tribe that you develop on your own, through search for local homeschool communities, go to the homeschool events that are happening. If there aren't none, like you said earlier, start one, because there's definitely, if you need one, there's more than likely there's somebody else that needs one, and you can even throw something up there on like a because some of the homeschool pages that I follow are not limited to a specific region. It has like people from everywhere. So find pages like that and throw up there, hey, is anyone looking to do meetups or play dates or a co-op or whatever for homeschool, and see who's in your area, and then just connect with them. And it doesn't have to be a large number of people. It could be 1 or 2 people. It doesn't matter, because that's your core. That's who you'll start with. And then those are the ones who are going to share about it. And that's literally what happened with ours. They were like, oh my God, they shared about it. When people were like, oh, how do I register? They're my spokespersons now. They go onto the Facebook page and they're like, you gotta come, go do this, do that. We do this, we do that. I don't even have to say anything anymore. And God just literally put on me to start it. It was just like, just start it. And I was terrified. I was like, oh, because like I said, I'm an introvert. But all I had to do was start it, and it took off from there. So support, take care of yourself, do whatever you need to do in the day to tap into yourself, because you can't run off, empty fumes or like. So whatever it is you need to do to take that minute to yourself. If you can't wake up early, great. If you don't, you're a night owl, then take that time at night to kind of prepare for the next day, and just turn in, like watch something funny, just decompress. And I like my glass of wine at dinner. That helps too sometimes.
Yes.
Whatever it is. That's really, those would be my 3: grace, observation,
Nice.
self-care.
Yes, those are all important. Thank you so much, Keisha. This has been amazing, and I love it. I love everything that you're doing. I love that you're helping families in the way that you are, and being a light. And look, y'all, she's still smiling. Like, she got a big smile. She is enjoying this process, this lifestyle that she is living. So I love it. And I thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
believing in yourself, and even through, the things that you didn't plan for,
Yeah.
keeping it moving, trusting the process. So that's dope. But parents, you heard, like, hey, resources are always available. Understand that this is not a journey you have to do alone. We have wonderful people like Keisha and her crew that are helping families build curriculums. Like, hey, I'm gonna show you how to do this. You can go and do this on your own. But hey, if you need a foundation right now, we got you. So reach out. Yes, reach out,
Yeah.
reach out, reach out, and just understand that if you don't have the community you need, you can always build it. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, in between time, just remember to homeschool your kids.